All right, let's talk a little bit about last week's game. It was a very good football game for both teams, about the first 3.5 quarters. And then we didn't hold our end of the bargain up. We turned the ball over and then we didn't tackle number one on third down, which is, we knew going the game would be very hard. We had some very good individual performances, but we didn't play very well as a team like we did the week before against Purdue. We made a lot of mistakes. We knew we were going to make mistakes on defense, but we made up for it by getting 3 turnovers. We flew around, made plays. I thought at times we tackled well, at times we didn't tackle very well. But number one, Greg Ward had a lot to say about that. It was a very physical game on both sides of the ball. Both teams got beat up a little bit. Offensively, you know, we couldn't run the football. That's the best defense I've seen on this field since I've been here. Same group of guys pretty much that we've been playing for the last 3 years. Very experienced, very quick, and very physical. So disappointed. First conference game, first loss. We didn't play as well as we did the week before, but Houston had something to do with that, and we've got a lot of room for improvement. And we had very good film to watch. We're still a work in progress on offense. We can't wait too long. We got to continue to get better. We can't have those terrible moments that we seem to have against Houston every year. We had them again this year on offense. So that being said, we have got a lot of work to do. We've got our legs back a little bit. We'll have a few guys back that didn't play last week. We had 3 of our starters basically out last week on defense after the Purdue game. Zach Edwards did not play. Bryce Jenkinson did not play. And Tyrell Gilbert played just a handful of plays just because of injuries. And that's 3 of our more important guys that we had on defense. And we still played pretty good defensively. So we've got to continue to play a lot of players. It's going to be hot this week, 85 degrees on our turf, which means about 125 degrees. And so we've got to prepare for that. We've had a few days off to kind of think about the last game, kind of get it out of the way, and get ready for this game coming up. Miami of Ohio battles for the Victory Bell, non-conference rival game. Those are always a lot of fun for the fans, and I think we're going to have a lot of people here at Nippert Stadium. It'll be the first time that we've had them here since I've been here. Their first game here for us at home was at Paul Brown's. So they're here at the NIP, and they'll bring some folks. We'll have a lot of folks, and it should be a great rival game. A lot of history goes back with this game. A lot of very good games. We interview a lot of former players and get them on tape for this game and show to our players and what it meant to them over the years. Their offense is a lot like ours. You know, they're kind of a pro style. They got a quarterback, a big guy about like Hayden Moore, throws the ball down the field. He's got very good touch with the ball. They got some good receivers, guys that have given us problems for the last few years. Their offensive line is a little bit young in some areas, but they do have some experience on the right side. Running backs very quick. Defensively, they're very similar to us. 4-man front, play zone, play some man. They've got some guys that can run, got a lot of quickness. So they've much improved over the last couple of years. Coach has done a good job of building it with high school players, guys coming in. I know they've struggled. They've come very close this year. They played Western Kentucky very well last week. Who's got a very good football team, and I'm sure they got a lot of positive things out of that. So again, rival games. It's probably something that we need as a football team after we play our first conference game. We didn't have a positive outcome, but to come down and turn around and our guys know that this means a lot to a lot of people, and so they've got to be ready to go and ready to put in a good game plan, play hard, and get ready to fight for the victory bell. Questions?
How concerned are you about your running game?
Well, I'd be really concerned had we not ran the ball well the week before, and I saw what Houston did to Oklahoma, who's got a pretty good running game, and I think they're giving up maybe a yard, maybe 3/4 of a yard a carry. They really stacked the line of scrimmage. They've got good DBs, Houston does, and they force you to throw the ball down the field. If we see a lot of lot of that type of defense with that type of talent this year, we're going to struggle running the football. We're very young up front with our 2 tackles. They struggle a little bit in terms of their run blocking. We blocked the wrong guy at times. They gave us a lot of different looks, and so that's a recipe for not a lot of success with running the ball. But that being said, we're obviously not going to give up on it. We're going to be able to throw the ball more and better as the year goes on. It's that's just part of it. We've got to be able to run the football. If you can't run it more than that, they make you one-dimensional with the athletes that they had and athletes that anybody has that they can do that to your running game, then it really puts you in a bind. So, you know, we had the ball 93 plays on defense. You do that, you're going to lose a lot of games. Your offense has got to run the football, move the clock, you know, keep your, you know, even up the time of possession. Some of that can be done with the passing game, but a lot of it's got to be done with the running game. We got 2 good running backs, and we got to take it personal that nobody can play run defense like they did. We knew going into the game we were going to have to be very good at running the football, but we were beat. We were beat at the point of attack.
But you're still convinced you're better at that than you were last year?
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, we just go back and look at the week before. Well, we had a 90-yard run against Purdue that was very big, very physical. And you take that out, we still had over 100 yards, 125 yards. So it's still there. You know, we've got to just continue to work on it, stress it with our players, call it. There was times Saturday that we had a running play call. We checked off and threw the ball depending on what they did, and to give us a chance. Because some of the things that they do, they don't give you a chance. They say you're going to throw it, or you're not going to get anything in the running game, and then you've got to execute that. So we'll see other teams that do those sort of things, and we just got to execute a lot better.
How much do you discount whatever problems you had last week? How much do you just chalk that up to Houston's so good? And it's not.
Well, a lot of it, you know, the last 4 years that we played them, I think they maybe have been the best defense in terms of turnovers in the country. I think led the country in turnovers. We're pretty close. They're athletic. They're not big in some areas. They get a lot of those kids from down there in the Houston area that might not be as tall as what some of the bigger boys want, but they're fast and quick, and so they're very good, and they challenge you. They don't line up and say, you know, we're going to bend but not break. They break and break and don't even think about bending. And if they bend, they're going to give up a big play, which we hit them on one, had a chance for a couple of other ones, but you've got to make those type of plays against that type of football team.
Miami has done a good job of time of possession, like Houston did you last week. Is that a concern going into this game? They run the ball pretty well.
Yeah, I mean it's like any other game. You know, they'll have their flavor of the week. You know, when we played them, you know, they do certain things against others, but when we play them, they do something different. You know, they really get into this game, which they should. It just depends on how we have adjusted. Last year we lost Gunner in the first half, and then Hayden turned the ball over 3 of the next 4 possessions. It got us in the bind. But again, we've got to play our type of football game. Every time that we play, we've got to understand it. We've got to get better, and we can't worry about what the other team does. We've got to execute the play that we got called, the defense we got called. So we've definitely got to even out, and it's not always going to be even the time of possession. And we want to throw the football, but we've got to be able to run the ball a little bit more, just to give our offense a chance to get into second short or maybe third and short, to be able to execute and run things that have a chance to be successful. Last week we got in a lot of long yardage, second and third down plays, which it's tough for a play caller to call, and it's tough to execute for a quarterback.
There's a lot of talk through camp about the depth on defense. You have to be pleased with guys like Carter Jacobs and Antonio Kennard and Malik Clemens actually bringing that to life when you've had some injury stuff pop up.
You know, when you take 3 of the better players that we have on defense that got beat and got hurt in the game against Purdue, and you go out and we didn't play great, we played good against Houston. We gave them problems. you take away 5 or 6 of those plays, that it's going to be hard for anybody to tackle number one scramble. I mean, to me, that's not execution. That's just athletic ability against athletic ability. Most of the time, when we lined up and played on defense and executed, we had a lot of success. And so a lot of that is because we have some depth for the first time. We played a lot of defensive linemen. We played 2 deep at linebacker. We played 3 corners in the game. We played 4 safeties. Now there's a drop off in some areas when we do that, but you got to be able to do it. You know, especially when you're out there at 93 plays. I mean, that's almost 2 games for a defense. And understanding that we're learning on offense, we're going to have to get better. They're going to have to hold their end of the bargain up on time of possession. But until they're able to do that, we've got to continue to play a lot of guys on defense. Hopefully we get some of these guys back this week on defense. And if we do, that'll even make us that much stronger. But you take TK that played Willie linebacker for us, made 18 tackles. I mean, that's unbelievable for a kid that struggled just the week before and just what to do. But he had to be the starter. He started at weak side, made plays in the boundary, tackled very well. And so that just goes to show you that we'll build some confidence from that type of play. But we got to continue to do that. Right now we're better on defense than we're on offense. It's pretty easy to tell that. But we've got a lot of potential on offense, but it's harder to play offense than it is defense. Offense, one guy breaks down, the play probably is not going to work, and that's what's happening a lot of times. So we've got to not be patient, but we got to coach harder, and push harder, and again, make more plays on offense, even if it's passing plays. I mean, we might come out this week and throw it 70 times, which is fine with me, but we got to control the football. We can't go out there and go 3 and out, punt, and put our defense in a situation where they've got to be out there again 40 minutes compared to 20 minutes with the offense.
Coach, you look at Miami the past 2 seasons, have had great years, but when they play you, it's a very competitive game. You put your finger on why? Is it because it's a rival and because it means so much to them?
Well, I think it means so much to both teams. You hear this cliche about throw out the records. It's student athletes against athletes. And some of their guys know our guys. They're going to play hard. They don't worry about what happened the week before. If you think about what happened the week before, then you're probably going to be on the downside of this football game. They played very well last year. They got us behind most of the game. We had to fight hard to come back. They made some big plays on us that we weren't expecting. They do a good job, again, of changing things up. It's a rival game. And so our guys today will have our scouting report in this room. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about individual players. But, we'll talk about the series and all those things that go along with it. But again, it goes to Saturday of who plays the hardest, who plays the best, who plays the most consistent. And in the end, usually that team's going to win.
Will you talk about how badly Miami wants to end this 10-game losing streak to you? Can you imagine?
Is it 10? Well, yeah. Anybody wants to win the rival game. Most of these kids, of course, they hadn't been there 10 years, but we've been fortunate to everyone since I've been here. But again, you've got to get it over to your players. Obviously, it's my job this year to get it to our players. We've got a 10-year streak, but streaks are made to be broken. I mean, that's what they're there for. And so we're going to get the best shot all year long from their football team. They're going to play hard. They're going to be ready to play. They're not worried about what happened before this game or what's going to happen after this game. They want to take the victory bell home with them. And so that's what makes these rival games, especially when they're so close. You can have a rival game when the rival's 200 miles away. That's fine, but when you've got a lot of community, backing of both teams, then you've even got more of an intense rivalry.
Is your quarterback situation the same? Have you look at it any differently after he threw those interceptions?
Yeah, we'll look at it this week and see who we think is the best to maybe is somebody else the guy that we need to put in, give him a shot. I thought Hayden played not his best game, but pretty well for 3 quarters. But we did throw for interception for a touchdown and almost do another one. And then and we threw one into coverage, he shouldn't have thrown it. I mean, absolutely, it was a bad decision to throw it. I think it was around the 40-yard line. It wasn't in our territory, but it still gave them another possession. We're not good enough to give the ball up that many times and win a game, especially against a very good football team like Houston. Fortunately, we'll give our update. I think we're still +5 in turnovers. We want to continue to try to work on that. Our defense is getting turnovers because we're flying around making plays in the right spot, getting more people around the football. And so we'll continue to do that, and we can get our offense to go back to being, secure the ball a lot better than what they did in that game. Then we're going to have a chance to win a lot of games. If we don't, we're going to have a tough year.
So are you saying that the quarterback job is up for grabs again, or what are you saying exactly?
I don't say up for grabs. It's just we'll look at situations that in practice and put guys on a more of a competitive practice session and see who's the best. Probably we'll have the same starter, but again, we can't make those bad throws. We can't give the football up. Just can't do it. And so I won't wait too long on that. We're not going to wait too long at all to make a decision on, well, let's give somebody else a chance. But you have to do it in practice. You can't put up with it in practice. And so that's where it all starts.
Did you think that problem was solved?
No, it's not ever going to be suspect. If we play Houston every week, you're going to throw some interceptions. I mean, that's going to happen. You look at some of these NFL defenses. I mean, they're all around the football. That is a big time defense we play. Very big. I'm not going to say that's a big part of their football team. You hear about offense and Greg Ward, and he's good. He makes plays. But I'll tell you, that defense, every year though, not just this year, not last year, all 4 years that we played, we have struggled to score points on Houston, just because of the type of athletes that they have. Very athletic, all across the board.
Coach, is Gunner looking more like himself in practice, like the guy you started?
Yeah, he's starting to practice more. He didn't practice as much the first couple of weeks because we're trying to get 2 guys ready to go. But last week he practiced more. With the game plan, you can't practice 3 guys much, but he's starting to learn it more. Starting to get more reps in practice and Skelly and learning the reads. Last week was a week where he got more reps. This week he'll get more reps. But it's his job to convince the players that he's playing with he can do it, and then, of course, obviously the coaches. So he's got to be prepared for that moment when to happen. That's what I tell he and Ross. You're one play away from playing. You better be ready to go. And I know everybody wants Gunner in and this and that. We're going to play the ones that practice the best. Thinks we give us the best chance to play to win the football game. And so be it. We'll see what happens this week.
In your opinion, does Gunner know the offense well enough to play?
He's got a lot better. Yeah. He missed. He's had a good month now in the offense, and it's different. It's a different offense than what we're doing. We all know that. We've seen that. So he's been very positive. He's helped coach, and by doing that, he's helped himself in seeing what's done wrong, and he's trying to help on the sideline in practice. He's been into it 100%. I mean, there's been no, hey, I'm third team, I'm gonna kick back and watch happen. He hasn't done that at all. I mean, he's been a coach on the field, very positive, worked at it. He'll get his chance. His opportunity's gonna come.
Is he number 2 now?
I'd say we have a 1 and we have 2 2s. Because they're all pretty about alike, to be honest with you. And
So
then the one that does the offense better is going to be the one that's going to play.
Is that the main reason he didn't get the starting job, just because of his lack of knowledge in the offense?
Yeah, he was behind. When you don't get a spring practice, you're out for 6-7 months. I mean, it really puts you in a situation. Now, he had a good summer, got all the guys together and drove through all summer long. Had a good camp at times. The scrimmages weren't his best, and that was where it was all decided. So it'll be soon. He'll have his opportunity. But again, like I tell him every time I see him, we sit down and talk. Don't waste a rep, mentally or physically, whether you're out there or not. Because when your time comes, You know, I don't want to hear that you weren't ready. Ross Trail, the same thing. I tell every one of them that's not out there, you know, you got to be ready to go. You know, don't let it catch you by surprise. And so, last year in this game, Hayden Moore had no clue he was going to play against my Ohio. And he was out there in the middle of the first quarter or middle of the second quarter. You know, had to play the rest of the game. Didn't play very well. Turned it over 3 of the first 4 drives. And so that's his fault. I mean, he's got to be ready to go. And so Gunner's experienced enough to know, you know, there's going to be a time. And when you get that time, you take full advantage of it. You say to yourself, this is I will never not go back to that sideline again. I'm going to be out there. So we'll see what happens.
Did you wonder how he handled being number 3?
You know, I never really thought about it, but you know, he and I talk every week, as I do with all those guys that are not starters, that are older guys, and he's handled it better than I would. You know, if I'd started 20 games and I'm the third team quarterback, I would look around going, why me? But there's a lot of reasons. He understands that, but he's earned the respect of all these guys in this room by how he's handled it. Because you find out a lot about somebody when you got adversity. Now that's true adversity, when you're knowing that you're over there, you don't even have your helmet on the sideline because you're a pretty good ways away from being in the game. He's getting closer every day.
Anything else?
No more follow-ups. All right, get your sunglasses.